Just think, you're in a small boat, only water all around, the blazing sun above, the merciless sea below, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, and there is no hope of rescue. And you don't know, you will survive today or just be swept away in the waves of a corpse. This only happens in movies, right? No, it's a real story of an ordinary man who lived in the Pacific Ocean for 438 days without food, without help, and without anyone. This is the story of Jose Salvador Alvarenga, who made eyes to death and returned alive. Jose was an ordinary fisherman living in Costa Azul, a small village in Mexico. His relationship with the sea was daily, but he had no idea that one day the sea would give him the greatest test of his courage, tolerance, and life. On the morning of November 17, 2012, he went fishing with his partner. They only had a 7-foot boat with no roof, no shade. His plan was to be back in 30 hours, but nature had decided something else. When they were 120 kilometers off the coast, suddenly a dangerous storm moved towards them. The two immediately tried to leave the net and return, but after 6 hours of struggle, the engine responded. Unfortunately, the battery of the radio also ran out. They could see the edge, but it was slowly disappearing from their sight, and their boat began to flow in the merciless waves of the sea. In just 5 days, they had gone 450 kilometers off the coast. They had neither rations nor nets left. Hope was replaced by fear. Both of them were lying in the boat out of hunger when one day a bird came and sat. The two looked at each other and immediately pounced on him. It was a turning point. Now they started living by hunting birds. All they had to do was to wait for the rain to drink water. They would collect rainwater in plastic bottles, but when it didn't rain, they would quench their thirst by drinking the blood of fish and turtles. Every day was spent at the end of life. The boat had now become a prison for them, with only death dancing outside. 4 months later, the moment came that broke Jose from inside. His partner could not bear any more torture and committed suicide. Now Jose is left alone, totally alone. Only he and 148 million square kilometers of sea. Days passed. Weeks turned into months. One day, a cargo ship was seen far away. Jose gestured with full force, shook his clothes, screamed, but the ship couldn't see him and went ahead. That moment was perhaps the most painful. The hope of a living human being after so many months, and then the death of the same hope. Loneliness again. Jose's body was scorched by the sun. His clothes were completely torn, and he was fighting for life wearing just one undergarment. 11 months had passed, and he was at the peak of loneliness, hunger, thirst, and exhaustion. In the same state of helplessness, one day he suddenly saw coconuts floating in the sea. At the same time, some birds were hovering in the sky. Seeing these scenes, a new hope arose in Jose's heart, because he knew that where there were coconuts and birds, the land was close. That place was Eban Atoll, a small island in the Marshall Islands. Jose swam to the island for half a day. I saw a hut there, and then a man came out. 438 days later, Jose saw a living man and tears welled up in his eyes. The police arrived, the investigation started, and everyone was surprised. No one was willing to believe how a human being could survive for 438 days without food, no help, and no facilities. But when Jose contacted his former boss and he confirmed his identity and story, the world was convinced that this incredible incident was a reality. However, the story did not end there. Jose also had a serious charge that he might have killed and eaten his partner. There was a trial. There were arguments, but no concrete evidence could come out, and eventually the court acquitted Jose. Shortly afterwards, Jose recorded his entire journey and experience in the form of a book named 438 Days. Today, one of the world's most inspiring survival stories, which not only tells man's battle for survival, but is also a great example of his courage, patience, and hope. This is not just a story of a human being living. Rather, it is a story of courage, patience, and not giving up.